Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers. Pop Go the
Right,
Writers. This
hers.
is our
I also
16th
write.
episode. 16th episode, not counting the classic TV specials we've done, which is pretty good. I think we've now outlasted half the shows on Fox.
Oh, that was a Firefly dig, wasn't it? Too soon.
Too soon. Yeah, too soon. All right. So last week, Mr. Story wasn't here with us. How are you doing, sir?
Doing okay. Doing okay. Doing some training at my new day job, where I'm going to be managing a comic book shop, which is good.
And
Yeah.
please tell us the shop you're going to be working at so people can find their way there and buy lots of books.
It is. You can check out the entirety of the business, which will, as of this summer, be 4 stores in the Metro Detroit area at comiccity.com. The mistake most people make is either adding an S after comic or doing Comic City all one with only one C in the middle.
Mhm.
So it's comiccity.com, and it's for, like I say, it's right now it's 3 stores. I'm going to be taking over one of the current stores, and the manager I'm taking over for is going to be in the in the brand new store come July-ish, I guess.
Oh. Well, it's
Um,
always nice to hear about stores expanding and growing, and in this
yeah,
day and age, especially.
the folks who run it, Bob and Jill Smethers, are uh, great people and smart people. Um, and so
Yet
they
they still got into comics.
and they still ask me to be part of the business. So
All right.
yeah.
Well,
How
I
about
know
you,
that
Dan? How are you doing?
I am good. I am good. I am coming off of the first 3 weeks of the damn Wickline show, which is rather entertaining and interesting, and a lot more of me on air than I ever thought would be happening. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a title
We're-
suggestion.
What's that?
I think that you should add one letter to make it a much more fun um, title.
And what's that?
I think you should make it the Damn Wickline Show.
Damn Wickline show. Nice. Yeah, the little trick I do on the show is that whenever I start it, I never use my own name. So I say, welcome to the Damn Wickline show. I'm your host. And I do stuff like I'm your host, Meatloaf, and I assure you I will not do that. And I'll just, or I'm Wilson
But you'll
Phillips,
do
and I thank you
anything.
for hold on for,
Yeah.
I'm Wilson Phillips, and I thank you for holding on for one more day. So
Very nice. Very
yes,
nice.
yes. So that's usually the last thing I think of right before airtime. Like, okay, who am I going to be today? I got a producer on the show. He's pretty good. He switches my name usually pretty quickly after I do the bit. So
Okay.
yeah. All right. I figured since we have not talked in a couple weeks and a boat ton of news has come out, well, we are gonna talk about MODOK, and we are gonna talk about the Bad Batch.
Yep.
But I figured let's hit some of the highlights. I got probably a good dozen. I got 11, so one short of a dozen topics that have come up over the last 2 weeks that seem pretty important, and just kind of share our takes on it.
Okay.
And we're going to hit the big one first. Warner Media sold to Discovery Plus. AT&T bailing on the entertainment side of the equation.
Yeah, that seems kind of crazy. It's like, we got to get our hands on this and pass. It would be literal. I think this is accurate because you know how I am about sports, but it's sort of like in terms of impact, it's like, and they pass the ball to LeBron James, and LeBron James just immediately passes it to somebody else.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like you don't know why they would why why did they go to the trouble of acquiring it if they were just gonna.
Oh, I agree. I mean, first they did the move to get Direct TV, and
Yep.
then they just recently sold that at a loss. Now they buy Warner Media at like $80 billion and sell it for like 43 billion.
Yeah. Now, aren't they keeping something back though?
What it is that there's the shareholders of AT&T will receive shares of this new company.
Ah,
So
yes.
it isn't AT&T itself that owns it; it's the shareholders that will be getting a portion of it. Where the Discovery people, I think it's like a 70-30 split on
Yeah.
the stock. But I think overall this is a good thing because I think that under AT&T, Warner Brothers and Warner Media has been an absolute mess. They don't seem to have any forward, kind of idea what they're doing. It's like we're going to follow Zack Snyder. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Wait, no. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
You look at the DC lineup of movies, and it's like, are we in a cohesive universe? Are we not? You put Joker out, then you're going to do the Batman with Matt Reeves, but at the same time, now you're talking about doing an African American Superman, but but Henry Cavill, people still want Henry Cavill. I mean, and that universe is still going on because there's going to be another Wonder Woman movie. Probably there's going to be Aquaman 2's in the works, the Flash movies in the work. So what are they doing? And that's what I look at. Is I think they've been completely rudderless since AT&T took over.
Yeah, it smacks of kind of too many cook syndrome. They've got a bunch of people, don't mean guys in the gender sense, but folks, all at kind of a similar level going, this is what we should do. No, this. Every project seems to be, and frankly, I take this personally, but they dumped a bunch of hugely dedicated, talented people from like the sales side and promotion side of DC.
Yeah.
I think all those people will land on their feet because they're good folks and know what they're doing. But it was just like, hey, let's just chop a bunch of people again for the usual, I'm sure, for the usual corporate reasons of, well, that way our bottom line will be lower at the end of 2020. We've cut
Yeah.
all these people and we could go, see, we're gonna be fine.
Or we're going to make Warner look more tantalizing to prospective buyers.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I've
yeah,
heard about Discovery is that they tend to be creative forward, as
mhm,
in the people who are making the shows and stuff tend to be in the lead, which
yep.
is what Disney has been doing. I don't know if Disney's changing because of Bob Iger stepping down, but hopefully that'll be a positive thing. But I mean, they had such turnover when they were with AT&T. I mean, the people who decided to give Zack Snyder the money to finish the Snyder Cut were gone before it came out. That
Mm,
entire regime was gone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very,
just
very.
I think they're an absolute mess, and I hopefully this will change things for the better.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that if they really want a Warner Media to be extremely successful, they should bring in you and I to run it.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. We could do it.
Yep.
Yep.
We
So
certainly couldn't do any worse.
that's true. That is absolutely true. Okay, let's also, since we're talking the big corporations here, MGM sold to Amazon. James Bond is now in the hands of Jeff Bezos.
I believe he was already in the hands of Jeff Bezos strapped down on a table with a laser pointed at him.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I mean, it's easy to make supervillain cracks about a guy who is like the richest, one of the richest guys, not the richest guy in the world, and is like, and I will start my own space program. And it's just like and
Yeah.
and my employees will have to pee into little bottles, which I will
Well,
then save and turn into something disgusting.
well, it struck me as odd the way they bought it
Mm-hmm.
because it felt like the big boot thing you do on eBay, which is you see something out there you definitely want and you throw this super high bid on it. Like
Yeah.
it's currently at $2 and you bid 18
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you want it, you want to scare off everybody else. And that's how it seemed. I mean, the estimated value was about 4 to 5 billion, and Bezos was talking 9, and it ended up going for 8.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the only thing I can think of, and this is a political aspect of it, is that Bezos, of course, doesn't get along with the former president. And now with this purchase, Bezos owns all of The Apprentice. So all the behind the scene footage that people wanted to put out there where Trump was saying things he wasn't supposed to be saying, according to Tom, Roseanne's ex-husband,
Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold. Yeah, Tom Arnold talked about how Trump used to say all this racist stuff on, and it was all caught on camera, but, they would never release it.
Yeah.
Now Jeff Bezos owns all of it.
Yeah, but really, how much harm can it do him? Because his hardcore followers are only going to love him more for being extra racist. Oops. Keep politics out of pop culture.
That's right. That's right. All right. I think we've had enough time with that.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier again.
All right. Let's see. What else popped up? Did you get a chance to see the Snake Eyes trailer?
I did. I found it impressive in terms of the visuals and the action.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's so weird to take a character that is known for one thing. You don't see his face, or two things. You don't see his face. He can't talk. And have him unmasked and quipping. It's weird.
It's called an origin story. Yeah. we do those occasionally.
It still just feels very odd.
Yeah.
To me, because then it doesn't feel like
they have brought in Larry Hama to be.
I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and did you see the behind the scenes thing where Larry's talking and he is dressed to the frickin' nines? I mean, he is looking good. I thought that was really nice.
Yep, absolutely. And I haven't seen much of Larry on screen since MASH, so just behind the scenes footage. But
I gotta say,
don't know, legendary comics writer Larry Hama is also an actor, and did in fact appear on MASH.
Yes.
MASH was a TV show back in the dark time, way back.
About the Korean War. The Korean War took place.
Yeah. They wedged it in between
World War II and Vietnam.
You've heard of, and Vietnam you've heard of, and the Korean War.
It was more of a conflict.
Yeah. I believe they still call it a police action, technically. But anyway, and MASH lasted 4 or 5 years longer than the Korean War.
16 seasons.
Oh man, even more than
Yeah.
because Korean War was only like uh 3 years.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was MASH was so much long. MASH was 16 seasons.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And good for most of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Um,
was a show that didn't really dip in quality, even when it was swapping actors in and out. And yeah, you know what?
yeah.
You make me think about this. Last week when we were doing the Mannix episode, or the Mannix
Mhm.
season 2 episode, one of the characters that became a recurring in season 2 was a police detective
Mhm.
played by Larry Linville.
Really?
Yes. And I was so used to Larry Linville from MASH and being Frank Burns and just despising the guy that as soon as he came on screen, I expected to despise him. And he is this great cop that really helps out Mannix and it's a good character. And you're like,
Yeah.
maybe he wasn't anything like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy.
Suddenly you're like, right, acting.
Acting.
Yeah. We do tend to
Fictional character.
yeah, fictional. It is funny though how a really good actor in a really good part can make you have a visceral like I'm gonna have a hard time. Thankfully, he's got the big beard now, but like Wyatt Russell now, so
Yeah.
many people are like, "Oh, I hate him," and it's like, no, you hate the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Well, I'm
but
sure Lena Headey's going to have a hard time after Cersei, or
yeah,
and the kid that played Joffrey just quit. Just went, I'm done. I'm out of
yeah.
acting.
Well, you can't blame him. I mean, people would walk up to this teen on the street and cuss him out. It's
Yep.
like, yeah, no, he just played the character. He did it well.
Mhm.
It's kind of a shame. Maybe he'll be able to be one of those child actors who stops and then can come back later without the baggage.
Like uh not Haley Joe Osment. Um Rorschach.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who, who I have loved in everything he's done since coming back.
Yep. Yep.
You know, Rorschach. I loved him on
Human
uh
Target.
yeah, Human Target. Thank you.
Yep.
As
He was
Guerrero. That was
based on a
awesome.
comic book,
Yeah, I've heard that. And I see. I thought it was based on the Rick Springfield TV series.
Right. Right.
You're gonna go old school. I'm gonna go old school. Um, all right. Let's hit some casting news. Henry Cavill joining the reboot of Highlander.
Yeah. I've never heard him called Henry Cavill. I always thought it was Cavill. But
It might be.
You might, yeah. But yeah, I'm also very like, does Highlander need a reboot? But that may be because I was the first movie, I was such a fan, and like they brought back, they did the TV show, and my
Yeah.
first thought is, well, this is going to be stupid because the prize is already done, and they basically went alternate universe, and I went, I like these guys.
Yeah.
It's like they don't shy away from it. They're just like, yep, different dimension or whatever you want to call it.
I loved the TV series.
Yeah.
I actually would buy them on the VHS box sets that they would sell, and
Yeah.
I was that guy. They used to call me, like, "Hey, we got a new one coming in. You ready?"
Yeah. I've got the complete DVD set and The Raven. Love Elizabeth Grayson.
Yes. Yes, that was same here.
Yeah. And yeah, there was an old CompuServe science fiction fantasy forum that I was on, and there was a Highlander section in there. And everybody had little abbreviations after their name standing to indicate who their favorite character was. And mine was DOA, Paul Story DOA, devotee of Amanda.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was actually a big fan of Mythos.
Yeah, he was and Peter Wyngarde's great.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, there's been a lot of talk about who the rest of the cast would be.
Yeah.
The problem is that if you look at the original, besides having a Belgium guy playing a Scotsman and a Scotsman playing a Spaniard, you
An
have,
Egyptian by way of Spain.
yeah,
He
a
he does make it.
Scotsman playing a Spaniard.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Um,
you
the
have
Kurgan,
like yeah.
the
Yep.
Kurgan, I think, is the important character because Christopher Lambert wasn't that big a guy, but Clancy Brown is so imposing by
Yeah.
comparison. Well, Henry Cavill or Cavill is a big guy.
He's not
Who
that
do
much
you?
taller. Yeah, he's not that much taller than Lambert, I don't think. But yeah, he's like, "Hello, I've played Superman and The Witcher."
Yes. So how do you come up with somebody imposing? I know Dave Batista was looked at the Kurgan, but that was a while ago.
Yeah.
As was, and they there was talk about Tom Cruise as Ramirez years ago, and then there was even talk about Ryan Reynolds as Highlander. All of that's supposed to be in the past now,
I
but
I
I think Batista could be Kurgan.
Batista could definitely be. Yeah.
But I was thinking Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, although he may at this point want to shy away from the long-haired barbarian guys after Game of Thrones and Conan.
Why? It's what he looks like.
So, well, in what is he's got the TV show Frontier and like
Uh-huh.
a movie called like uh is it Braves? Brava? Something like that. Anyway,
He's got Dune coming up too. He's in that, right?
in which
Isn't he in Dune?
I don't know. I am so disinterested that I'm the geek that doesn't care about Dune.
Uh,
Um,
I've never gotten into it myself, but I am looking forward to the movie to see if I watched the original
mhm.
um, when it came out, and it was all right, but kind of confusing at times. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Well, plus it had Sarah's brother in it. Isn't Kyle McLaughlin Sarah McLaughlin's brother?
uh, if he is, I had no idea.
Oh,
Yeah, he's in Dune as Duncan, Idaho.
okay then.
Yep,
I wonder if he's a private.
his own private Idaho.
Yes.
B-52 references, really?
Well, it's to go back. It's actually a callback to Falcon and the Winter Soldier because of course Bucky was from World War II. So
Okay, so besides Highlander, they announced that Timothy Chalamet will be playing a young Willy Wonka.
yeah,
Why?
it's called an origin story, Dan.
Oh, I didn't ask what. I said why.
That's I see. I have the same question about Snake Eyes, though. Like
Yeah, but
we
at
already
least Snake
knew.
Eyes is a Snake Eyes. You have the definitive Willy Wonka movie with Gene Hackman or Gene Wilder.
Wilder. Now,
Gene
Gene
Hackman,
Hackman would have been a totally different movie.
but probably good, just different.
Yeah, except Willie would have finished off the kids on all straight out on his own. Like he would have eaten Augustus into the chocolate.
Ned Beatty was the old Oompa Loompa.
There you go. Ah, yes. So anyway, I don't understand it myself, except that everything's. I mean, as we learned from Cruella, everything's got to be wrung every drop of profit you can get out of it.
But people are loving this Cruella movie.
I I I am so over personally. I'm not not shaming anybody who enjoys it. I'm
Yeah.
just, for my personal thing, I'm tired of, oh, and this is when the bad guy wasn't so bad. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's
okay.
like let bad guys be bad guys, you know? I also don't need a Lex Luthor origin story where he's
Yeah,
the good guy.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, you know, I don't mind complex characters, but I just, this whole, a lot of this stuff just strikes me as excusing, setting up a way. Oh, spoilers, could put up spoilers. Apparently, Dalmatians killed Cruella's mother. So that's why she wants a coat made out of Dalmatians. So, I mean, like, I don't think that quite covers it. Like, I don't think that excuses. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, but so yes, why we need a Willy Wonka origin story. Not saying Willy is exactly a villain, although he totally is.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Charming, certainly. We want to root for him, but he's pretty much okay with a bunch of kids dying in
Oh yeah.
his candy.
Is there anybody redeemable in that movie besides Charlie?
I
Even
even
Grandpa.
I
Grandpa's
was gonna
laying around in bed letting his family starve until, oh, we get to go to the chocolate place. Okay, I'm out of bed.
yeah. Yep. I I I still love the movie though. I just I but yeah, there is that's you do kind of wonder, like, what. I believe now it would be, you know, Willy Wonka and the Toxic Chocolate Factory, and it would not be wrong.
Yeah. By
But
the way, the ending scene of Willy Wonka should have been as he's blasting off in the elevator, all the cops showing up to investigate all the dead. Yeah.
it's sort of like the end of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where
Yes. Oompa Loompas are being walked out in handcuffs. That's two Oompa Loompa references in one day.
well,
All right. Well, let's since we are
aren't you
talking about.
glad you had Willy Wonka references to make?
I'm just yeah, talking about characters who are going to be turned into protagonists.
Yes.
Craven the Hunter, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I it I got no problem with it. I just thought it was kind of like, wow, really? Like they're, it just seems like, really, you're doubling up on people when there are still so many people out there, great actors out there.
Yeah.
Um and that's not a shot at him. No pun intended. Sorry, Quicksilver. Um but yeah, it's just a little weird that it's like, um oh, we'll just go back and and uh and you know it's okay, nobody remembers that movie.
Well, it's not part of the MCU. It's the Spummock, the Sony Pictures unified Marvel universe of Marvel Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. Spummock.
Although it's part of the Spider-Man oeuvre, and Spider-Man was in Avengers,
Uh-huh.
so it
But Quicksilver
feels,
was already dead.
yes. Just
Hey, if Gemma Chan can play Minerva in Captain Marvel and now play Cersei in the Eternals,
yeah, yeah. Fair
and
point.
Michelle Yeoh could be one of the original Ravagers and now in Shang-Chi.
Yep, yep. Now that you brought up the Eternals, that's kind of a good segue, and we can bounce back to
We will get to that.
okay.
That's going to be a little bit longer conversation. So, but
All
I've got
right.
that on the list.
All right.
But I did
I
a
mean,
deep dive on Craven history,
hmm,
the history of Craven earlier in the week on the Dan Wickline show, and he's just a silly mess. You know, other than Craven's Last Hunt, which is a phenomenal story, but unless you have Spider-Man, you can't do that story.
yeah.
So you've got basically this guy that was
Wait,
born.
isn't he squaring off against Spider-Man? Is this just a Craven movie?
Yeah, it's just a Craven movie. It's a Craven standalone film.
Okay.
That was
Yeah, no, I didn't look at it closely. I just assumed they were announcing that he would be a baddie in a new Spider-Man film.
no.
So,
This is a Sony movie. This is going to be a standalone, and it's got to be them building towards their Sinister Six that they've been wanting for a long time.
yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, he's a good actor, we'll see. But yeah, Craven the character, there's no real I
yeah,
mean, what's his shtick? Oh, I try and prove myself to be greater than you know, than the animals I hunt.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and he
I
cheats. And he cheats. He took a voodoo serum by a witch doctor named Calypso.
Calypso?
Yeah, Calypso.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Mephisto?
combining Calypso and Columbo. It just got weird.
Yes. I just assumed
One more minute, sir.
I thought you were referring to Mephisto because we know he's in everything.
Yes, he is. But he takes his serum and it gives him like the speed, strength, and senses of a jungle cat, as well as long life and vitality. And he was born like before the Russian Revolution, where his family lost everything, and he becomes a big game hunter in Kenya to kind of make up for everything he's lost.
Yeah.
And his associate, who we find out years later is actually the chameleon, and his half brother, is the one that pushes him. Yes, Craven's half brother is the chameleon.
Sure.
And I mean, it's just this big convoluted thing. And then he kills himself at one point, and then he gets brought back by his family, but they botch the job using voodoo, so that and he wants to die again, but he can only die if Spider-Man kills him. And it's just a mess. And then at one point, he decides to get the High Evolutionary to make clones of him, but he forces the High Evolutionary to do it. But it's not that he wants one clone, he wants 87 clones. I'm not sure why the number 87.
87.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then he takes them to the Savage Land and trains them all how to hunt, sends them off in the world to prove themselves to the legacy, to prove themselves worthy of his legacy. And one of them decides the way he's going to prove himself is to kill the other 86.
I mean, given Craven's background, you can't really be surprised at that.
No.
You know, he's the guy that went, I'm bored killing these dangerous animals. I'll hunt super guys.
Yep.
So I do
it was the chameleon that suggested that.
Yeah. The audacity of Stan Lee back in the day, because I believe the name was probably from him, to name a character who's supposed to be the biggest and the baddest and name him Craven, which means a cowardly person. I mean, yes, he made the C to a K, but still.
Yeah. Yep.
That still cracks me up.
Oh, yeah. Sergei Kravenov.
Yes. I'm
but
Craven the Hunter. Leave me alone. I don't want to just...
Yeah. It does mean that Aaron Taylor Johnson can do his Sokovian accent again. Probably won't be that far off.
I bet you didn't see that coming.
Yes. Okay. Other casting news. They finally confirmed Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, which we've known forever, but they finally went, yeah, I guess he's doing it.
And he decided to kill me in the same way that when I watch Venom, and he says, "We are Venom," and all I hear is the Farmers Insurance bum ba dum bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
And then
But, but
Oscar
at least,
Isaac posted, "We are Moon Knight," and then immediately in the back of my head, bum ba dum bum 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 bum, and I'm like, "Stop doing this to me! It's like they're targeting me."
they're specifically targeting you, not the fact that he's supposed to be this multi-level schizophrenic,
Right?
with the multiple personalities and stuff. But no, it's all about you, Paul. It's all about you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Also, another interesting bit of casting: the Secret Invasions show is just getting this amazing cast.
Which is funny
Besides,
because it's so far out.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
no, they're supposed to be starting to shoot soon,
Well, that makes
but
sense. There's a lot of
yeah,
posts for these.
but you got, yeah, of course, Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel L. Jackson coming back, which by itself is a reason to watch the show. Those two.
Yep. Yep.
But Olivia Colman, Amelia Clark, Killian Scott, Kingsley Benadir, I believe his name is.
Okay.
Not 100. And then they just announced Christopher McDonald, who a lot of people go, who? And then I go, Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin.
Oh wow, yeah. And because I always confuse him verbally with Chris O'Donnell.
Yes.
So people say Christopher McDonald, and I'm like, isn't he on NCIS LA? It's like,
No, this is
no.
Shooter McGavin.
He was also one of the he was also the captain of the Enterprise B, if I remember correctly. In the episode um where Tasha Yar ended up going back in time so that she could have actually have make a noble sacrifice. I think it also is the one that introduces her daughter, the half Romulan daughter.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that was him. You
Could
were
be.
looking at Kingsley Benadir.
Kingsley. Kingsley. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I was close-ish. I'm not familiar with his work, but but that's a pretty interesting cast they've got going now. You know, it's kind of
yeah,
like they keep rolling out these big names. It's the equivalent of the Knives Out 2, that every time you turn around, it's like, who did they just add? Leslie Odom Jr. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That well, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. Movie that it's not announced. One of the sites, I don't remember off the top of my head, I think it was a Hollywood Reporter,
Mm-hmm.
did a bunch of interviews with Hollywood lawyers. And they were, of course, bragging about deals they had just done. One of the guys was the lawyer for Danae Guerrera.
Herrera.
Yeah, from The Walking Dead and Okoye. And supposedly she's coming back for not only Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which everybody knew, but she's coming back for a Disney Plus series
Right.
where she'll be one of the stars, and it's kind of an origin story. And it seems like maybe, because I know that Ryan Coogler has a Disney Plus series in the works about Wakanda,
Mm-hmm.
so it might be an origin story of the Dora Milaje.
Yeah. Could
which
be.
I think would be awesome. All for that. But another bit of news from that same article was a lawyer talking about how he's the lawyer for the director writer of Joker.
No idea.
But supposedly Joker 2 is now in the works. Do we need a second Joker movie? Did you see the first one?
No, refuse to see the first one. I just
Why
because
refuse?
again, because I don't give a crap about the Joker's origin. And I'm just really, really tired of let's make awful people, uh, like make them sympathetic and put it this way. You know why I didn't see the Joker story? Because
Hmm.
so many comic skaters liked it. I
Uh,
and
we keep dancing into politics here.
well, that's
I
still
haven't.
fandom.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yep,
I have it. I have it on a DVD somewhere, or Blu-ray or somewhere around here,
yep,
with the intent to watch it. But I hadn't watched it before the pandemic hit, and I think it kind of goes with why I'm having a hard time with some of the shows that I either would normally like or liked previous. Like, I haven't really been able to sit down and watch The Boys
yep,
season 2. I loved season 1.
yep,
Couldn't get into Invincible, and I think it's all the negativity that's involved in them.
yep,
I just don't think I'm in a mindset for that kind of story. I want something a little more positive, a little more upbeat.
yep,
I mean, Infinity War just about kicked my ass. That was a little too much.
yeah. As someone who has uh, suffered from depression for a big chunk of my life, like people often will say, "Well, obviously you've seen this movie," and I'm like, "Oh no, I haven't," because I didn't want to curl up in a dark room for a weekend after
Yeah,
seeing something because, I should specify I had untreated depression for most of my life. But yeah, I was like, oh, surely you've seen this bleak movie because it's so good. And I'm like,
yeah,
no, I have not. I don't go looking for stuff that is going to make me feel more like I do not want to feel.
yeah.
Um, and
You mean
and
like
I
most of the Academy Award winners?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, they're not for me. And I suppose I should say that about the Joker. Not saying it's bad. People said, a lot of people said it was good.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Uh,
Well, I look at like the movie that Anthony Hopkins just won his award for, about being a father with Alzheimer's at the end of his life. And
yeah,
it's like, I know Anthony Hopkins is an amazing actor.
yeah,
And I can tell you that that is probably a fantastic movie.
right.
Dramatic, heart wrenching. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah,
No Man Land. I am absolutely fascinated by Chloe Zhao as a director. I know that won a bunch of awards. It's supposed to be an amazing movie. I'm not there. I don't want to watch that.
I'm waiting for Yes Mad Land to make me feel upbeat.
So now we can segue into Chloe Zhao and
Oh, good
Eternal.
point. And here I ruined it with my awful joke.
No, it was a good joke. So, Eternals. What was your initial feeling after that first trailer?
Okay, so I watched it. I was like, wow, by the visuals and stuff and the characters and seeing them doing stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Wow, all right, all right. And at the end of it, I was like, but why do I want to see it other than it's a Marvel movie? I didn't get a feel for what, there's the whole, we have never interfered until now. And it's like, okay, but you gave us no indication of why it is you're interfering now.
Yep.
So I thought it looked great. It is a teaser, it's the
Yeah.
first thing, but I was a little let down that it didn't work. I didn't think that it worked hard enough to say why I wanted to watch it. How about you?
I had that same feeling. I thought visually it was gorgeous. Just was amazed by it. Loved the musical choice. I
Mhm.
mean, was it Skeeter Thompson or Skeeter? Skeeter Davis. Skeeter Davis
Yeah.
song from the 1960s.
Mm.
Just it was gorgeous, and I do like the button they put on the end to kind of tie it to the MCU by
Right.
talking about, and I like the fact that they say Captain Rogers, not Captain America, to
Hmm.
kind of acknowledge that, that Captain America lives on even though Captain Rogers is gone.
Right.
You know, um, but yeah, it doesn't give you any reason. But do they need to yet?
Well,
It is a
why
teaser.
that's why I'm balancing it with like,
Yeah,
but it was the teaser.
yeah. I mean, we are talking about a movie that's not out till November,
Yeah.
so they're just starting. I mean, probably during Shang-Chi, they'll drop a more definitive trailer that
Yeah.
shows us if it's going to be Celestials, if it's going to be Deviants, if they're going to have to deal with hot rocks on the beach. I don't know what the bad guys are going to be,
Yeah.
but whatever it is, I think this was more to build up the epic scope and nature of it,
Hmm.
introduce us to the characters. There wasn't a lot of action.
Yeah.
It was very graceful. It was very beautiful. The little fighting we did see seemed to involve just almost like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, in
Yeah.
the way that the cutting down the big green pieces of cloth with Athena,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I took from it. It's a teaser. It's setting up the epic scope. It's Marvel's 2001.
Yeah.
Or Chariot of the Gods, and that's kind of what I took from it. Is that's what it's
Right.
going to be.
Right.
Um, and maybe that's the good way to go about it, because you spend the time introducing the characters, showing off all these great actors that you've pulled together, and that the diversity that's involved here.
Yeah.
You know, um,
I was
and even the
shocked that
changes.
Kumail Nanjiani had his shirt on though,
Yeah,
because I thought they would be like, "Hey, look!" And Kumail worked really hard here.
yep. There were a lot of Captain America-ish references.
Hmm.
There was like three different shields in there that looked just like two that looked like they were inspired by or could be the inspiration for Cap's shield, and then actual Cap's from the USO show shield is on the plane when Sprite's doing her song. She's singing. If you look in the background, Cap's USO show shield is up on the wall.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to tie in, but this looks like it's that bit, like I said, giant scope. And I think that's really what they wanted to do. Like, here's our new characters. This is how beautiful the movie's going to be. And it's going to cover a big part of history, because that's Babylon,
Yeah.
525 BC, Hanging Gardens, the Ishtar Gate, all of that.
Now, were you surprised that we didn't see Kit Harington?
We got one quick glimpse of him.
Oh, I missed it. Then.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, we got Rob Stark, but we didn't get Jon Snow.
Yeah. I do like the fact that Rob Stark and Jon Snow are going to be fighting over somebody named Cersei.
I had not even thought about that. That's really sad that it did not occur to me. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yep.
I didn't. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks really good. Chloe Zhao is amazing. So there's a anticipation, but I felt a little adrift.
I think it's going to be a gorgeous movie. I think it's going to be a well acted movie. Will it be a compelling story? I think is because the Eternals themselves, I mean, it's kind of Jack Kirby doing New World or New Gods again.
And like New Gods, the Eternals was not intended to be an integral part of the Marvel Universe. It was
Right.
supposed to be on its own, as I understand it. So it's again, like like the New Gods over at DC, after a little time they went, oh, you should probably bring it in with the rest of it,
Yeah.
and so then, and I wonder how much, and I know it's been a long time, and I know they did the Inhumans TV show, but I wonder if anything from the original ideas for the Inhumans ended up incorporated into the Eternals, because they seem like they ended up taking that slot that was vacated.
Well,
Um,
from what I've heard, Kevin Feige wanted another ensemble group
right,
thing without having to go the Avenger route where you introduce each one. He wanted a group that was specifically tied together.
right, right.
And after the kerfuffle with the Inhumans, that horrible, yeah. I don't know why they keep giving. That's the same guy that did the first season of Iron Fist. I don't know why they keep giving him work.
Hmm.
But so the Eternals were the next likely. I mean, because everything else are just standard superheroes. So you'd have to build the team up basically. Where this, they're together for a specific reason.
Well, there's that one team that's all like they've all got a common theme, and oh, what is it
Yeah, go
called?
this long for the joke for the Fantastic Four or the X Men.
Oh, I was
Trying to
going
figure
for
out
the
which one you're
X-Men.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it just, there really isn't. I mean, you look at,
and I think they wanted something big and cosmic
yeah,
to
but
kind of follow up.
you look at what Jack Kirby did with the initial run.
Yeah,
You look at what Roger Stern did when he did a 12 issue series that tried to clean up what Kirby had left behind, and that never really caught on. You have Gaiman's run on the characters, which is probably the best run that I've
okay.
seen. There's another one that I believe is Charles Knopf wrote. It's either
I know.
Charles Knopf or Daniel Knopf. I know
Yeah,
it's either the father or the son.
yeah, and I know Greg Pak did some work on using the Eternals.
I don't remember Greg Pax. I know Kieran Gillian just had a 4 issue miniseries this year. It was January through April. But to me, the only one of those that really stands out is I could do a story about this is the Neil Gaiman run, where they've all lost their memory and have been out of it for a little while. And Icarus, the dreaming celestial is starting to wake up, and he's buried under the San Francisco Golden Gate Park, and he has to go around and get the rest of the Eternals. But
Yeah.
they've done so many weird stories with these characters that it's kind of hard to see what they've got planned. I mean, again, it's either the Celestials or the Deviants. That's all they ever fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's
and
kind of
that's
like
what.
it's kind of like the Black Knight.
Yeah.
I did a thing on the Black Knight, and somebody asked, "Well, who's his main villain?" And there's a current Black Knight TV comic run being written by Simon Spurrier, and in it there's a page where they go, "It's Mordred," and the other guy and the ghost of Sir Percy's like, "Of course it's Mordred. It's always Mordred." And that's what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
well, who else does the Black
Didn't
Knight
they
play?
put him up against Modred sometimes? Or because
That's
there's
what I'm talking about. Mordred.
the Mystic or King
Oh
Arthur's
no,
kid.
King Arthur's kid.
That's I think Mordred.
Mordred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You're thinking Mordred the Mystic,
for
yeah.
some reason I want to say that he's also gone up against Modred the Mystic. Who for
Could be.
Yeah. But what I was thinking of, I think Greg Pak used the Eternals in the Immortal Hulk.
Possible. Yeah, I could
No, it
see
was
that.
the Incredible Hercules. It was the
Yes.
Incredible Hercules. Sorry.
Yeah, Gilgamesh was sleeping on his couch.
Oh, there you go.
That was one of the things. Yeah, Gilgamesh. I did this real deep dive, not only on the
Yeah.
Eternals, but also each individual character. And that was, yeah, Gilgamesh ends up sleeping on Hercules' couch for a while, which I found funny. But
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, but it is one of those things. And again, with the Eternals and the Deviants, they've got that whole thing built in, so it's hard to fit them into the Marvel U at large,
yeah,
because they're kind of self-contained.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and then Thanos is tied to the Eternals because he's one of the Titans, but there's one of the Titans that split off. The Eternals split into two groups, and one of them went to the moon of was it Saturn's moon or Jupiter's moon as Titan? But they
I
went to
know
the moon.
Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you've got those Eternals up there too, and Thanos is one of those. And it's like, okay, are we going to get into all of that? Are we going to say, well, there's a moon in our galaxy that has a whole life form on there, and we have these cosmic characters who don't know they're there?
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, was it and that's and then I get the Eternals confused with how uh the Kree also experimented on humans, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eternals were the result of the Celestials
Yeah,
experimenting on
the
humans.
Celestials came to Earth when we were still like proto man, proto
Yeah,
human, and split into three. They jerked with humanity to give them the potential for superpowers, and then they created the Deviants and the Eternals.
right.
But they've been doing this on planets all across the cosmos, including creating the Kree and the Skrulls.
Well,
They're
right.
separated.
And then
Yeah,
the Kree are also came back at some point and messed with humanity and created the Inhumans.
yeah.
Yeah. So and then there's also a branch, I think a branch of Inhumans that were on Uranus, as everybody says now, which
Yes.
which resulted in Marvel Boy.
Oh God, yeah.
Um,
It's
and
just,
so, it's like there's an awful lot of people in our solar system that it seems like somebody might, like Captain Marvel, might have noticed jetting back and forth. Like,
yep.
hey,
Well,
there's
she
a
flies fast.
yeah,
Yeah. She flies fast and doesn't look at the other planets.
yeah, yeah. Of
She's
course, we
interplanet
still
Janet.
we still haven't dealt with the blue area on the moon,
Yeah. It's.
which tied in with the Kree and the
I guess
human.
the important thing to remember is that the MCU is not the Marvel Comics universe.
That is true. That is very
So
true.
it only matters what they tell us is in it.
Yep.
So if they say that Thanos is not an Eternal, then he's not an Eternal.
Right. Right.
If Mephisto had nothing to do with Wanda's kids, then he had nothing to do with Wanda's kids.
So, sorry, my hair is falling in my face.
All right. We should probably move on to our two shows. Which would you like to cover first, MODOK or the Bad Batch?
Let's cover Bad Batch first because I think it'll probably go a little quicker. I am coming around to your way of thinking, by the way, which is I think I still like Bad Batch more than you do, but I am coming around to the idea that it's weird that it was their choice to run into the must see TV Friday slot. That, like,
Yeah.
oh God, the destination, like, because I don't, I like, based on my own online experience, people don't seem to be, like going, oh my God, did you watch the Bad Batch? It's just like, oh hey, new Bad Batch today.
Yeah.
It's not like The Mandalorian. It's not like WandaVision. It's not like Falcon Winter Soldier. They're just like, Hey, more
Mhm.
more Clone Wars based stuff, which I
Yeah.
understand and I enjoy,
Mhm.
but
Now we haven't talked since for episode 4 or 5, and I really liked episode 4 a
okay.
lot. Episode 5 was more interesting to me than 2 and 3. I felt it moved the story along a little bit, and there were nice Easter eggs. The fact that Munchie is probably the Rancor that Luke Skywalker kills.
Spoilers. I,
But it was also a very predictable episode.
yeah, it was funny though. I thought, oh, that's cool. They're doing another Rancor. Like, there's only really been the one, and then it's like, nope, they're not. That's the same one. It's
Yeah.
just I forgot it's that much earlier.
Yep.
Um,
I did like Rhea Perlman being cast as Sid.
I recognized the voice from somewhere, but didn't realize it was Rhea.
Yeah.
Um,
I see now that the point you made about nobody's really buzzing about the Bad Batch.
yeah,
I watched the episode this afternoon.
yeah,
All those other shows, Mandalorian, Vision, Scarlet Witch, or WandaVision, and
WandaVision.
WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, I watched at midnight when they dropped.
Right, right.
I'm, you know, I'm just kind of meandering over. And it's like, oh, I should watch that. Paul and I are going to talk about it. And
Yeah,
like I said, if they had skipped 2 and 3 altogether, and it was 1 and then 4, and I don't know about 5 yet, but 1 and 4 felt like it was really moving things along. And I think that's going to be the basis of this show, is that there's going to be these episodes that are really important, and then there's these filler episodes. There's
yeah.
the ice, basically in Mandalorian season 2, it's the ice spider episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, didn't need that episode. It was
Well,
a good it was a fun episode.
but it did introduce Shang-Chi's dad to the Marvel universe, or to
Yes,
the Star
Carson
Wars
Tavia.
universe. Yeah,
Carson Tavia, yep, who's showed up, and then but
right.
his character's name is Carson Tevia.
Oh, right. Uh, I was like, that's not his name, but that's his Star Wars name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the character we're talking about. I
yeah,
thought I'd
that
go
was
ahead and name the character.
right, right. No, it was just like no, it's Paul Young's son. I think I pronounced that correctly. Um,
Sure,
but
but I thought they're still kind of. Hang on, 1 sec. So they're still building up the Wrecker's head injury, or his chip starting to try to function,
right, right.
which I think they're now dragging it out a little long.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, it
know.
does. It does seem. By the way, it's Paul's Sun Hyung Lee. I
Okay.
I feel bad because I hate getting names wrong like that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Um,
yeah,
Omega is still annoying.
yeah, she seems to be like, and we're still not really sure, you know, what's going on with her.
Yeah.
You know what, and maybe the mystery of Omega is what this whole season is about.
It
Um,
could be. I appreciate the fact that she isn't the one that calmed the Rancor. It was Wrecker,
yeah.
because she does seem to be solving problems, and it's a little too Mary Sue in a way,
Oh,
or
I I don't agree. I don't believe that most characters. Most characters deemed Mary Sue's are characters that we wouldn't bat an eye at if they weren't women.
Okay, this isn't a gender for me. It isn't a gender thing.
Yeah.
I don't know of another term for it. Maybe Deus Ex Machina, where she just happens to be able to do everything that just happens to need to be done. And I wouldn't care if it was a male or a female character.
Yeah, but in another genre, we'd call that Batman.
But Batman is a well-trained adult. She's a child that just happens to be able to do all this stuff. Untrained.
Well, I don't believe that it'll turn out that she just happens to be able to do this stuff.
No, but that's how it's coming across right now.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Anyway, not a hill I'm going to die on.
Okay. Nor I.
Yeah.
And like I said, they could come out and make it perfectly make sense, and they probably will. I will, give it to Dave Filoni. He does pull together the overall stuff really well. I just think I think there's a lot of filler right now that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's partly some cognitive dissonance. No, that's not the right word. I think it's just some of that is expectation, personal expectation that we're bringing versus like, we're like, oh, hey, I would like it to be this, but that's not what they're doing. But which does not make it any less of a valid commentary.
Did I expect it to be a little more event series? Yes.
Yeah, and just a little more pace.
Yeah, but did I have anything in mind specifically for the story itself? No, I had no expectations to the story itself. I just thought it would be a tighter, more event-driven thing. But 16 episodes of this seems to be ridiculous.
Oh, is it 16? Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
This was 16 right now, according to IMDb.
Yeah.
Originally, it was supposed to be 14, but.
And that's 16 with an hour and a half.
First episode, yeah.
First episode. So it's practically a 20 episode.
Yeah, so it's basically just Clone Wars season, whatever, 8.
I get you.
Yeah, which is fine if that's how it was pitched, but where they put it, I think by putting it there, they misstated the expectations.
Yeah, they set the bar. They set the bar higher than what one, plus, I mean, I think it's also a little. The one thing I was thinking about is this is more or less let's call it an all ages show.
Okay.
And that is also not what we had grown to expect, from Mandalorian, WandaVision, and Cap and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Sorry, he put on the uniform at the end, and I keep calling it Cap and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
but then it confuses people with the movie. But yeah, I'm liking it. I actually, before we came on, I put the feeler out about your about this question, whether it's just like a weird fit for that Friday must-see show. And a few people were kind of on that same page. Other people like it great. They think it's great. I find that the big Clone Wars fans seem to be the ones that are like, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying it overall. Yeah. And I'm staying with it. I'm going to watch this through because there is a good story going on. There's things that I don't understand, like why they're still wearing their uniforms. You know,
Well, theirs seem to work a lot better than most clone troopers or stormtroopers.
true, true. But yeah, it's an interesting story, and there's enough Easter eggs in there that's fun. You know, Bib Fortuna showing up and Fennec Shand and stuff like that. That's interesting. Um, I'm thinking that Filoni may have a little too much interest in Bib Fortuna. You know,
Okay.
because he's popping up here, he's popping up in the book of the teaser for the book of Boba Fett. How much Bib Fortuna do we really need?
Well, enough that you need a bib. I don't even
All
know
right,
what that meant, and it came out of
I
my
don't
mouth.
either. I don't either.
So let's
I
move
just
on to MODOK.
I am going to be honest with you. I made it 2 episodes,
Really
and I had to force myself through the second episode.
interesting.
I and maybe it's just me, but from the trailer, I expected like robot chicken type humor. I laughed maybe two little guffaws in the entire first episode.
Hmm.
I mean, to me, the only really funny character is the super adaptoid.
I did just this is kind of tangential, but doesn't it seem like a like doesn't the super adaptoid seem weirdly useless?
Yes.
It's like I'm funny. There are funny aspects of him, but it's just like so like yeah. I it's just that's the way they decided to go with them, and
Yeah.
but I'm used to like, hey, it's super adaptoid. He's gonna fight the Avengers to a standstill.
Yeah.
So when it's like he's a super adaptoid, he's kind of needy and whiny.
Yep.
So
But then MODOK is not supposed to be needy and whiny, and he's kind of that too.
yeah, yeah. I made it all the way through.
You
Um
are a brave man.
no, I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was just I it must have hit my funny bone different than it did yours. But I will say the one thing that I found I because it is, got that kind of, I know it's not claymation, but that kind of claymation cartoon feel
Yeah.
to it and everything, and I know it's by the Robot Chicken people and everything, but I see this show and I think it just because of the style and, you know, Seth Green and Patton Oswalt will hate me forever, but um if they ever figure out who I am. But it just it just made me think, man, it is really a shame that like the none of the big shows are really like it would be nice if there was a show like this except that kids could watch. And I hear this a lot from a lot of parents that they're like, I got kids who love superheroes, but like I can't show them a lot of stuff. And in this
No boy.
case, yeah,
Yeah.
not the boys, not Invincible. There's a bunch of Batman stuff you can't, you know, really show to your younger kids.
Look, the
Um,
killing joke.
there you go. Um, and uh, and it's just so like I find it visually very, you know, eye popping,
Mhm.
and I just think, man, it's kind of a shame that um that they don't have something, not necessarily this, but something like this for younger Marvel fans. um like I'm trying not to judge it based on that, but that's what it evokes from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it pretty well. I thought it was funny some of the way, most of the way through. I did think it was, and I think this was intentional, so it's not really a criticism. It's awful gory, um, and as we talked, that's starting to get on. I think on both of us, the
Yeah.
the overly gory super stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I laughed. I cried. It was much better than Cats. There were probably more buttholes. Um,
Yeah.
so
I do feel sorry for Gary through probably the 2 episodes I saw. He loses an arm.
yeah,
Then he gets basically sterilized by a time stone.
yeah,
And that's just in the first 2 episodes. So I feel for Gary.
yeah.
If you're going to reference Third Eye Blind, why are you using such an odd version of Semi Charmed Kind of Life? This slow kind of acoustic version that doesn't even sound like the band. But
You're obviously more of a Third Eye Blind aficionado than I am.
I like the band actually.
I don't dislike the band, but I'm not. You know, they're more of a background band for me, like
Yeah,
something I heard on my commute.
it just I felt more sorry for MODOK. You know,
Yeah.
I truthfully like I said, the only character in there that I actually could sympathize with was Gary.
Well, and the weird thing is throughout they don't they seldom are apologetic about the fact that Modoc's MODOK, and
Yeah,
and it's less that it's less that he's a supervillain that causes his family strife, and more that he just devotes all his time to being a supervillain.
but a really
You know,
bad one.
yeah. Well, he's never been a particularly great one in the comics. I mean, he was a little scary at the beginning, but when you're
Yeah,
again, that's Lee and Kirby. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean, eventually he just sort of becomes,
a
uh,
joke.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, it's the big head guy. I um,
Yeah,
yeah. I'll do again the Don Thompson quote. If you like this sort of thing, this is something you'll like.
yeah.
Um,
I really wanted to like it.
mhm,
I mean, I wanted to be able just to binge it. Set it up to do it last night. Was over at Lisa's house. Got set up to watch it. Had a few drinks. Was in the right mindset for a good, funny
mhm.
show. Watched the first episode. Afterwards, went, "Wow, yeah, that was made." What else is on Disney Plus? Or what? What else is on Hulu? I end up watching like how guitars are made. I mean, you just so today I said, you know what? Just to be sure, I will watch the second episode. And the whole time traveling thing, and I don't get some of the humor. Like the whole line about MODOK kneels before no one except for the Schnitzel King, and they did this whole thing about the Schnitzel King, and it's like, who's that joke for? What what was that supposed to be funny for?
Well, I mean, because it never makes a joke funnier than when you explain it.
Yeah,
I feel like the idea was that, he's supremely arrogant, but boy, does he like the schnitzel.
Yeah, but it seems like they make the joke and then they take it a little bit further.
Yeah,
It's like it didn't land, so doing that extra backflip isn't going to help. You know?
I don't know. I was thinking, uh, you don't feel like that's a an attribute with Robot Chicken as well, where they commit to the bit is what I'm saying.
True, and I think with the Robot Chicken is its bits. They do short little segments, and then they move
Mhm.
on to something else. And this is just one really long bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another one of those, and maybe it's just that I'm a crotchety old man these days. Um, but yeah, it's another one of those where it's like I apparently liked it more than you, but it's not really um like I don't know if I would have blasted through it if we weren't going to talk about it on the show.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
let me ask you this. I'm 2 episodes in. Should I give it another episode?
let's see, you're on episode 2. I think you should actually give it 2 more episodes, and here's why.
Okay.
I want you to come back next week and go, why did you make me watch 2 more episodes? I think that 1 and 2 gave you a sufficient feeling for it. Where if you're just not feeling it,
Yeah.
then it's probably not for you. Um, and I boy, I am tired. Not this. I'm not applying this to MODOK because like I said, I watched all the way through. Um, but boy, I am tired of people telling me about shows. Oh, you need to just give it like 6 episodes, or you just second season it really hits its stride. Um, and I'm trying to think because I think it was third season where DC's Legends of Tomorrow turned into my favorite CW DC show.
Yeah.
Um, and people like, oh, I don't know if I can take it. I'm like, oh man, it's my favorite show, but I can't in good conscience go, just keep watching. Because if you're not, I can't, I
Yeah.
telling people to watch stuff they're not enjoying, even if I enjoyed it, I have a hard
I'm
time doing
fairly
it.
sure the third season, they got the feeling they were about to be canceled and went, fuck it, just do anything we want.
Yep. And
And
it's
that's when
certainly
it,
has.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not normally one for that in like superhero fiction.
Yeah.
I'm not but boy, there's just something about the the air of we're not going to worry about explaining it. Remember how we were talking about all the hard and fast rules of time travel?
Yeah.
Eh.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. This was something I was going to ask you, and we just kind of got to that. Does it
why am
feel
I
like
so handsome?
no, that wasn't going to be the question at all.
Okay,
Does it feel like the Arrowverse is dying? Like it's
um
coming to an we've lost. I mean, they stopped Arrow. Black Lightning just ended. Supergirl's
oh
going to end. You got a
well,
bunch of characters
Black
on Flash
Lightning,
have left.
yeah, Black Lightning was only almost kind of on the cusp of being part of the Arrowverse.
Well, they did bring him in with the
Yeah,
Crisis,
yeah,
and it was one of the better shows in my opinion. It was one of my I really loved that show.
yeah, yeah. Which made it especially fun for you when um and now here's a weird one. Is technically Superman and Lois is technically part of the Arrowverse.
Yeah, it's technically, but it might be the only one that survives.
Yeah. I don't know how far the Flash is supposed to go out.
I know they got another season. They're supposed to start off big, by having the first 5 episodes of the new season are going to be crossover ish. They're
Mm,
going to have a bunch of guest stars, and
yeah,
it's going to be kind of like an event, is what they're saying. But it might be introducing new characters because they're going to need new characters. They keep losing them.
yeah.
Cisco's gone. Wells is gone. They lost Elongated Man already.
Although I heard somebody talking about some way that they thought they might be rebooting, doing something with and it may be been fan speculation, but or that they could easily um do something with Ralph and Sue and just like replace the guy.
Yeah, because
Because I
he
mean,
can
it is,
shapeshift. And
yeah, yeah. Of course, they just did something like that on Batwoman's still around.
yes,
It doesn't
and
feel
for
as cohesive though. There was no big crossover this time around because
right,
probably because it was like it's COVID. We're not crossing casts.
yeah,
So yeah,
casting crew.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's but Batgirl they just did that with um
Wallace Day.
they brought in Kate Kate Kane, not played by Ruby Rose, right? Yes, that's her name, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Javika Leslie replaced her in the costume, and then Wallace Day is back as Kate Kane.
Right, right. Um, and which will be interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, hello, Caleb.
Caleb. Caleb says, "I have a feeling next season Flash might be the last season because they had a bunch of cameos and arrows last season." Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
Well,
wouldn't surprise me. You
it's
know.
been going a long time.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is this season 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Arrow went 8, and the 8th season of Arrow was only a half of a season.
Right. Right.
So
So yeah, I mean, but the other thing is, and I'm still not sure how this is going to work because I'm not sure if they have now officially switched Stargirl over to CW. Like I know it originally was debuting on DC Universe and then airing on
right.
CW, but I think they may
I
have
think it's
moved it.
officially on CW now.
Yeah, and I think that they can build off of that. I think that they could theoretically build a Stargirl verse or a JSA verse off of that. Um, because it that I think that's the thing is there was no they lost their linchpin show at the same time as the pandemic. And I
Yeah.
think that's why things feel a little off.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they kind of lost their. It seemed like after Crisis they were building up to something. They were bringing everything together, and then with the pandemic hitting and Arrow walking, ending, it just felt like the idea just kind of slipped away.
yeah, yeah,
And then Black Lightning bringing to an end. The proposed spinoff Painkiller didn't get picked up.
yeah.
They are going to do the Naomi series, which is based off a DC character that Brian Michael Bendis created. But
Well
I know
created
nothing about that character.
because
And
obviously every comic book writer creates a character with the artist.
I don't remember who the artist was.
I I don't either, but I still feel the need to make the point
Yes,
because
I agree.
I have not actually read Naomi, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't been reading tons of comics lately. But oh wow,
And you work at a comic shop now.
well I do now. So
Yes,
I just realized we have hit our 90-minute mark.
we are. We're going to need to wrap it up here.
I was going to say, are we?
Next week, we're going to be able to talk about the upcoming Loki series. We could prep for Loki. You know, talk about his previous appearances, what we might see from it. That's a show that is definitely not working from any existing comics. So it should be interesting to see what the hell they're going to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. It. I know a lot of people seem excited for it. So Hopefully, it looks good. I'm curious to see, you know, where it goes. You know what the conflict is besides just Loki snipping timelines.
Yeah. Oh, Caleb points out Stephen Amell did come back and say that during the pandemic, if they couldn't get actors and get things going, he would come back for another season of Arrow because he was still up in Canada and could have started working. Yeah. And Berlanti was like, wait, how serious are you about this? You know? So had they needed to, he would have done that.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, this week you can find Paul at Comic City in Detroit, in areas of Detroit. Check out comiccity.com for his store. I will be on the Dan Wickline show Tuesday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific over on The Experience. I'll be doing in-stores tonight, or in-stores this week on Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with Kyle Northrup. The Dan Wickline show's on Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I should just get a billboard for this.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back for Pop Go the Writers next weekend, where we will be talking about the upcoming Loki show and what we expect and what we might be getting to see.
Yep. And you can find me at storyville.com or Storyville on Twitter.
Yep. And you can find me anywhere you type in the name Dan Wickline, it's going to pop up. All right, guys. Thank you all. Have a great week. We will see you all soon. Take care.